Project Libre, Tutorial 2, Resources. Hello, and welcome to our second tutorial, Project Libre. We're going to begin where we left off with the task view. Pull up the assignment from Project 1 or Project 2. Let's make sure we got all the information right. First, I think we ought to check to see if we have all the tasks in there. Evaluate freezer, chart temp, I think we do. Let's make sure the durations are alright. Sometimes when we mess things around, the durations change. 2, 6, 2, 3, 10, 2, 5, oh, 3 and 2. Let's make that, bring that back to 4. Okay. Anything else? Okay, make sure our predecessors are right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 7. Looks like that's good. Something new we're going to use, resource assignments in column E. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's check out the rest of this thing. It looks like we have an error box on task 3 over here on the far left. Let's take a look at that. Something should be happening here. Task at the start no earlier than date. Let's click on the info box and see why. Okay, start no earlier than, and the constraints 1024. Okay, let's change this back to as soon as possible. Box goes away. Also, I just noticed that the task was supposed to start on the 31st, and I think some of us started it on the 25th. So let's see if we can change that. We want to go into File, Projects, and we see that our project is starting on 10/24. We want to change that to 10/31. So let's get in here and change it to 10/31. Okay. Finish. That looks good. Start status states today. Everything looks good. Let's go back into the task and Gantt chart. And there we are. Looks okay. No obvious errors. Now we can go back and start entering resources. And the resource chart. And we now can enter the resources. Now, according to our chart, we've got 2 resources, Al and Joan. Let's do Al. Al is a work resource. That means that he is a person. A material resource is a thing. Al probably has an email address. We don't need that box, so let's get rid of that. These are Al's initials. RBS. We'll talk about that later. Al really has no group. We'll get rid of that. Max is going to be used 100% of the time. And the standard pay rate is $45. And we are going to use the standard calendar, and he will be prorated. So if he works 15 minutes, he gets 15 minutes worth of pay. The Project Libre program is open source, and it does not allow us to put people to work for less than 100% of the time. So if a person works for us for a day, we expect to get a full day's work. Other projects, software like Project Pro, allows you to select different percents of the day that a person works, even though he's assigned the whole day. As of now, we can't do that. So all of our people will be assigned to work 100% of the time that they're assigned to work. That's the way it ought to be anyway. Alright, the next resource we're going to enter is Joan. So why don't you do that, or watch me do it. Joan is also a work resource. She was a material resource. We would mark material, and then we would mark the kind of material resource it was. We would mark, let's say, if it was in pounds or feet or meters or whatever. Joan is a J or initial. We're using her 100% of the time, and I believe her pay is $50 an hour. Okay, it's not on here, but it's $50 an hour. So we're paying her $50 an hour right here. $50 an hour. Okay, she is also a standard resource and is prorated. Alright, now we're now ready to begin entering the data on the Gantt chart. Let's go back to the Gantt chart. Task, Gantt chart. And now we're ready to start entering the resources. Now, I've entered the resource column already. If you don't have it on your chart, you can enter it. Remember how to do that. We simply right click on the last column, insert column, and we're going to enter another column called cost. Cost will allow us to see what each task is going to cost. Now I'm going to put the resource column on the other side of cost, so I can move the whole column just like that. And I don't need it to be that big. Alright, so there we go. So let's see who is who. Our first resource is Al. Al has task number 1, evaluate freezers. We can do this in two ways. First way is we click on the resource box. We go up to the top, assign resources. We find Al, click on Al, then push assign. And Al is in there. Then we can move to the next box. The other way we can do this is we can click on the whole line, get the task information box, go to resources, and virtually do the same thing. Click on the resource assign box, click on Joan, click on assign, and Joan's in there. Either way, it still works. Now I'm gonna use the resource box to do the rest of these. So let's see, what do we got here? We've got Al, Joan, Al, and Joan. Al, Joan, Al, assign, Al again, then Joan. Let's see what else we got. Al, Joan, Al, Joan, Al, Joan, Joan, Al. Okay. Al. Al. Should be Joan. Let me remove that. Removing Al. Remove him. Let's put in Joan, assigned. Joan again. Joan, assigned. Then finally Al. Okay, they're all in there. And you can see as we entered them, it costed out their work, again at 100%, costed out their work for the number of days they're working at the rate they're getting paid. Let's see if we got the resources right. Al, Joan, Al, 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 Joan, Al, Al. Joan, Al, Joan, Joan, Al. Okay. Now that we have the resources and the names and the cost of everything, we can take a look at organizing this so that we have no conflicts. Now, you can see here that Al has two things going on at the same time. Al has task 1 and task 3 both at the same time, and if we had another piece of software like Project Pro, it would show us if there was some sort of conflict. But this software doesn't do that, so we've got to manually adjust the conflicts. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a way to move these boxes, move the task, so they don't conflict with each other. We do this in several ways. The first way is we can manually move the box. So we can take task 3 and move it to the end. And over here it's going to tell us that we have done that. We have enough starting an earlier time. So it will start after that. We could do another thing. If we wanted to put this task number 3 after task number 1, we could go to task number 3 and make number 1 a predecessor. Put 1 in there, and it moves immediately after task number 1. So task number 3 comes right after task number 1. So we can move it manually with the cursor. We could use a predecessor, or we can go into that task, go to resources, back in there. You can go to review the task and go to advanced, go in here to it says start no earlier than, and we could say start as late as possible. And so in this case, Al does this task for 2 days, takes a break, and start as late as he can and still finish on time to be ready for task 4. Now we didn't change any times yet, so the pay hasn't changed. So there's 3 ways we can adjust the tasks. Now, so far you learned to schedule tasks and assign resources. Now your mission is to eliminate resource conflicts and complete the project as quickly and as cheaply as possible. Check the project feature to see total costs and time elapsed. Good luck.